Honored dignitaries, head of the institutes, head of the departments, faculty members, and my dear students. A very good morning to all of you, and I extend a warm welcome to you all on the fourth day of the Orientation Program 2021. Dear students, we hope that the previous 3 days of orientation has helped you in getting acquainted with the rules and regulations of the university and also adding a delight quotient regarding the world-class services that Amity University has to offer you. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and I'm sure you all are thrilled to take that first step in this journey of knowledge and learning for the next few years of your lives. To start with, I would like to invite retired Major General Gurpal Singh Bal, Dean of Students Welfare, Director Hostel and Security, Amity University, Haryana, to address our students. Major General Gurpal Singh Bal retired after 37 years of distinguished service from the Indian Army. Having served in all important theatres of operations, he has had a vast and a varied experience in directing operations, administering large organizations, and managing manpower. During his illustrious career, he was awarded the Sena Medal for fighting insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir and the Vishisht Seva Medal for his meritorious service in the Indian Army. Major General Gurpal Singh Bal was also the Deputy Commandant of the Indian Military Academy, which is the breeding ground for the Officers' Corps of the Indian Army. He has specialized in training young officers in the art of leadership, and currently he has extended this expertise in mentoring our undergraduate students at Amity University. Major General Bal is also currently the Dean of Students Welfare, Director Hostel, Director Security, and Director of Undergraduate Military Training Camp at Amity University, Gurgaon. I invite you, sir, to address our students. Over to you.
My dear students, you've heard me before. I had introduced you to the various clubs that we are doing. We are running in the Amity University. It is indeed a pleasure to be talking to you again this morning. To begin with, I want to congratulate each one of you for having got admission into this prestigious institution. On behalf of my Deputy Dean of Students Welfare, Dr. Ranjana Kothari, and myself, I welcome you today to today's morning session, where I will take you through a journey where I will show you my presentation on the various activities that the Dean of Students Welfare Department is involved in, and what all we are dealing with as far as student activities are concerned. Let me be candid in stating that besides academics, all activities in this university are more or less handled by the Dean of Students Welfare Department. Because I'm also looking after the security and I'm also looking after the hostel. Right. I begin with this quote of Yeats. There are no strangers here, only friends you haven't met. So you're not strangers. We haven't met. And when we meet, we'll meet like friends. The Dean of Students Welfare Office is an open house. Anybody can walk in, anybody can ask what issues are there, can raise your problems, and you can be very open about what all you want to do in this university. So kindly feel free. We maintain an open house, both myself and Dr. Kothari. You're most welcome to approach us by mobile, by email, or come and meet us in person. We are open to your suggestions. We are open to solving your issues that you are dealing with. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, for the last 1.5 years, this bustling campus no longer has students. At the present moment, we only got the final year students, approximately 500 to 600 students who are coming on a daily basis. And I do sincerely hope that we get an opportunity of meeting you all in this very semester. But I do hope and definitely pray to God that from the next semester onwards, that all students come to the university and we start functioning as we were functioning earlier than 1.5 years back. So we have a 110-acre complex. If you see the dotted line that demarcates the boundary of our campus, it's a very modern institute. When you come and see the buildings, you will be in awe. In fact, you must have been told that we have the LEED Platinum Award, which distinguishes our university as a green university, a self-sustaining environment, and a beautiful campus. Seeing is believing. So my describing the university is not good enough. When you come here, you'll be able to behold the grandeur of this university. So let me start by saying that these are my duties, which I have shown on the left of the screen. That is students' welfare. I am also the director of the hostel. I am the director of the security. And I'm also doing something which is unique only to this university, which is military training. I'll cover all these aspects as we go along. So I'm responsible for students' welfare. I'm here to promote an impartial atmosphere of support, safety, and health of students. I'm here to also help students to achieve their goals and objectives. I also deal with a lot of student counseling. I attend to parents when parents come with the problems as far as the wards are concerned. I attend to the parents. And I'm also, to a great extent, dealing with discipline and anti-ragging measures in the university. So what is the kind of culture that we are here to impart? We are here to create a culture of care. And that's what this department is all about. Another very significant quote, which is a favorite quote of mine: tell me and I will forget, show me and I will remember, involve me and I will understand. So what I actually want to bring about or bring to the fore and explain to you about this quote is the last line. That when somebody tells you, you will never forget. When somebody shows you, you will never remember, you will remember. But my job is to involve my students so that you understand. So all activities that we do in this university is by involving our students. And how so, I will cover as we go along. So what is our objective? Now, this is a very interesting slide, which I'll explain to you. So we create a conducive environment for free thinking. Until the environment is not conducive, it doesn't give birth to free thinking. And we also create an environment of happiness and fulfillment. These are two prerequisites that are very, very important for creative thinking. And of course, we also provide this academic rigor environment so that students can flourish in this environment. And what does all this lead to? It leads to creativity in the student's mind. And that is how, because of your free thought, you breach all parameters, you breach all boundaries, and you think deeply and you think innovatively. And that is how, with people who think deeply, innovatively, you give birth to startups. You have ideas. And what is today's world all about? It is a world about innovations, ideas, and startups. So that is the kind of atmosphere that we try to create in this university. And definitely when you come, you will see this environment around you. So responsibilities I'll quickly cover. Student services, which include medical, hostel, messing, sports. And then we also look after the hospitalization of students and if there are any accident cases. We have regular class representative meetings where class representatives bring to fore all the problems which have been put up by students. And we also have the hostel block representatives we also have a meeting with, and the hostel issues are also brought out and brought to the fore. Cultural activities, all cultural activities which take place in this university. Professor Jha will be covering 24/7 activities, and the Dean of Students Welfare Office is handling all the cultural activities on this university. All games, sports are handled by us. All facilities, amenities like the auditorium, plaza, gym, sports complex are being managed by the Dean of Students Welfare Office. I'm also involved with the discipline. Of course, there is a proctor, and we have marshals to ensure that there's discipline maintained on the campus. So what is our endeavor? I call this a cycle of student well-being. So we want students to be happy and healthy. We want them to be safe and protected in this environment of the campus. I want them to be respected and recognized, treated equally and fairly, irrespective of gender, and supported and heard by us at every stage of your stay in the university. And all this cycle of student well-being is what we are involved in the DSW's office. I would also like to mention over here that since I have been dealing with leadership, and like Niti said, that I have been in Indian Military Academy, which is the breeding ground of junior leaders for the Indian Army. So I do look at students and I do try to inculcate soft skills in students so that they become leaders of tomorrow. And what are these soft skills? Communication skills, very, very important. You cannot be a good leader without communication skills. Ability to organize events, ability to organize a group of students. And this brings about confidence in students. I also, to a large extent, encourage creative thinking, out of the box thinking. And last but not least, I try to inculcate a spirit of self-discipline. By imposing discipline, it is very difficult because it's like the Damocles sword. If you put the Damocles sword on somebody's neck, till the sword is there, he will abide by the rules. The minute the sword is taken away, the discipline goes out of the window. Whereas discipline is self-generated. Self-discipline is the only discipline which sustains itself. And all these soft skills put together, what am I trying to do? Groom leaders of tomorrow. So we have a very modern sports complex, and these are the sports facilities that we have. We have basketball courts, tennis, badminton, football, volleyball, cricket pitches, kabaddi, gym, and the yoga. We have 5 cafeterias. We have a regular mess. We have a cafe coffee day. We have a hashtag, Florence General Utility Stores, Dosa Plaza, and Blossom Plaza. I've already covered to a large extent the various clubs and activities. I'll just show you some slides, and I would like to reiterate here that in the universities there are certain clubs which are there. If you see on the notice board, there are certain clubs which have been put up. But more importantly, a larger part of the clubs are the ones which have been thought of and generated by the students themselves. So students get together, they think of innovative ideas, they think of certain issues that they want to bring to the fore, may it be social issues, may it be teaching the slum children, may it be medical, bringing about medical awareness in the local population. So the sky is the limit. So students come to me and say, sir, we want to open this club. And if I feel that their request is doable, the club comes into being. So if you see most of the clubs, they have names which the students have themselves given and themselves started. So I feel that those clubs which are self-generated, which the students bring to the fore, are the ones which sustain themselves over the years. I have known of alumni who have come back to the university and said, sir, how is Sakar getting along? We are in touch with Sakar. I hope Sakar is doing what we were supposed to do earlier on. And I say, yeah, this Sakar is living on because the idea lives on. And that is what is important for these clubs to survive and to sustain themselves. So these are the various clubs. I'll quickly go through them. I've already told you on the first day the various clubs which are existing on the campus. So it is dance, drama, sports, social requirements, teaching the poor children, women empowerment. So as you see, blood donation, tree plantation, we have a plethora of activities. In fact, if you see throughout the year, 12 months of the year, you will have student activities going on. Also, there are certain events that we organize from outside. Like if you see the army display, we had organized an army display to motivate our students to join the armed forces. So these are the sports facilities and these are the sports clubs active. Here are some other clubs which are active. You can see for yourselves. We have every year an AMI Fest, which is a 2-day activity. And it's an annual function. And is organized for the students by the students. It is inter-departmental and is also inter-university events. Various universities participate, and those have been listed on the left. Delhi University, JNU, Punjab University, Guru Nanak Dev University, Jamia Millia, Ashoka University, Munjal, GD Goenka, just to name a few. Larger number of universities are participating in this AMI Fest. So what are the activities? Whole lot of activities: dance, drama, street plays, song, battle of bands, fashion show, poetry, innovations, just to mention a few. Here are some of the glimpses of the fashion show during AMI Fest. Some dance performances as competitions that we have held during the AMI Fest. We also have large number of celebrities visiting us. And here's Mr. Raval, who visited us way back in, I think, 2018. So some of the cultural activities, some of the screenshots you can see for yourselves: dance, drama, fashion shows, and dances in various hues, cultural dances, modern dances. And these are the sports facilities. We have a very modern sports complex on campus. As you can see, AstroTurf. The football ground is 24/7 lit. And you can see the basketball ground is also 24/7 lit. Synthetic court, tennis court, badminton court. And you can see the various activities taking part on the sports ground. Then every year we have Sangathan, which is a sports event. It's an annual sports event. It's a 1 month long sports activity. Approximately 34 sports disciplines are conducted, and these are basically institutional competitions. At an average, about 600 to 700 participate each year. And then from here, the teams which we select, they participate in a mega event in the Founders Day Sangathan in Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, where we have Amity inter-university competitions, and where the results are declared. Let me inform you that Amity University, Gurgaon, has been twice the winner in the last 8 to 9 years that we've been participating in these events. So we have a very strong culture of sports in the university where lots of students take part. We have coaches coming from outside to coach you, to prepare the teams so that they do well in the inter-university sports events. Here are some of the photographs of the Sangathan. There you see our respected Chancellor. He's lighting the flame along with me. And here the Chancellor is giving away some prizes, certificates, some more shots about this Sangathan. Medical facilities. So we have state-of-the-art medical facilities. We have a MI room on campus. We have a doctor on campus. And we have 4 nursing assistants. One is a lady nursing assistant. And we have a 24/7, we have 2 ambulances, which are at a beck and call to evacuate any student who has any severe medical issues to a hospital which is known as the Rockland, which has now been rechristened, renamed as Meteor Hospital, which is only about 9 to 10 kilometers away at Manesar. We also have the facility of medical insurance, cashless treatment up to 25,000 rupees for students who are admitted under normal circumstances, and up to 1 lakh for students who are admitted as serious cases. And each student gets a card like this, which is an insurance card, which he can show. And most of the hospitals, whether it is in Noida, whether it is in NCR, cover this insurance. So you'll have a 25,000 rupees cashless insurance in case of a normal case, and if case of a problem area or it is a severe medical issue, then up to 1 lakh rupees. So here are some of the photographs of the medical room. Okay, this is our hostel. a very, very beautiful hostel building we have. We have the girls block and we have the boys block, all in one complex though. Of course, the entrances are different. And this is what is the hostel plaza, which is the common area between between the hostel blocks. And that is the hostel mess at the bottom where students are uh, eating their food. This is the hostel living space. These are the corridors, and each room has 2 beds, and a suite has 3 rooms with a common toilet, a common bathroom, and a common wash basin. Then we have hostel activity rooms where we have carom board, table tennis, and cards, and various other indoor games. Then we have a dosa plaza. We have a Florence general store, and then we have a cafe coffee day. This is another shot of the hostel plaza. Then we have another cafeteria by the name of Dija Brew, which is under our C block. And then we also have the food truck, which is called Frush hashtag. This is also on campus. So what you will see over here, we have a large variety of food that is served on campus. So there is no fixed rules that you will eat here or you will eat there. Students have their own preferences, the type of food they want to eat, whether it is South Indian food, whether it is a snacky food, or whether it is a regular meal. All that is available on campus. There are 5 cafeterias, like I said, and a wide variety of food to choose from. We have regular blood donation camps every year, and the Dean of Students Welfare, along with the Amity Medical School, organize these donation camps. Dr. Nigam has already spoken to you about the code of conduct that we expect from our students. I will not harp too much on the subject. We expect our students to be decently dressed, formally dressed if possible for certain functions, and informally dressed like what you see the students over here. And I'd also like to mention that these are the things which are absolutely taboo. This is a smoking-free campus, a drug-free campus, no drugs, no alcohol permitted on campus. Hostelers caught with liquor, caught with drugs, or even with hash are given 24 hours notice to vacate the hostel. Because we do believe that if some students are consuming these drugs and these alcoholic beverages, then not only they are themselves doing that, they are also influencing a number of students and getting them into the habit of consuming these addictions, which are, of course, taboo on campus. Okay, as far as the pandemic is concerned, we have taken severe measures, strict measures, and as you are aware, the anti-COVID protocols, the COVID protocols which are there existing, are shown to you on the screen. If you do happen to visit the campus, please return home if you are unwell, and these are the symptoms which are listed below. If you have any of these symptoms, kindly do not stay on campus, because not only are you suffering from that particular infection, you are likely to pass it on, the Delta variant or the Alpha variant, whatever you have, you are likely to pass it on to the other students on campus. Kindly use sanitizers on a regular basis and wear your masks at all times. Avoid using lifts, because when you operate the lift with your fingers, you are likely to be passed on the infection. Crowding of more than 5 students is not allowed. Maintain minimum 5 to 6 foot distance between students. Carry personal sanitizers and sanitize your hands before entering faculty and administrative buildings. Security. Let me say that as an army officer, retired army officer, I am candid in stating that this is one of the most secure campuses that you can ever imagine that it could be. We have 16 marshals with 1 marshal on each floor. And these are retired JCOs who maintain a hawk's eye to ensure that there's no issue of indiscipline which takes place on these corridors. Your I-cards and vaccination certificates will be examined at the main gate. Cars with only Amity stickers are permitted to enter the campus, and you have to apply for these stickers. You have to have a valid driving license, a registration to apply for these stickers. Let me say there are more than 600 vehicles and n number of motorbikes which are on campus. So each one is responsible for locking his bike. So far, in these last 10 years, I've only had one case of a bike theft. Till now, due to our CCTV footage and the security guards, we have had no other thefts on campus. We have 500 cameras which cover the campus from corner to corner, and there is no problem as far as indiscipline is concerned. Thefts are caught out very fast because we have cameras covering each and every nook and corner of the campus. I would only urge that all students should look after the possessions. Don't leave your possessions lying around. If there is a theft, kindly report immediately, because then we can quickly see the theft on the cameras and we can identify the culprit. Now, one of the very important aspects that we are doing over here is military training camps. So we are having military training camps for undergraduate students as well as PG students. For undergraduate students, we are having it under the title of open electives. So from the basket of courses, you can choose military training camps as one of the open electives, and you will be given a credit for attending this course. So what is this military training all about? The aim of military training is to inculcate leadership qualities and discipline amongst Amity University students. And what is the scope? Bring awareness as far as the importance of leadership is concerned, inculcate discipline and camaraderie among students, kindle a spirit of adventure, expose students to the essence of physical well-being and fitness, and enhance awareness regarding Indian Defence Forces and disaster management. So the duration is 7 days. We have the leadership capsule, then we have the adventure training capsule, then we have the military training capsule, where we make you do PT, drill, obstacle crossing, weapon firing. And then we also have a seminar, or I would say a workshop on first aid. And then we impart basic knowledge of firefighting skills, which are so essential as students as well as for your future life. Once again, the COVID protocols, I've already mentioned the top row is already known to you. If you have to enter the campus, you must have at least one minimum dose of a vaccine, and you have to show your vaccination certificate before you enter. If you have to go to the hostel and if you have to stay for a few days, in any case, first to third year or fourth year students are not allowed to stay on campus. Only the final year students are allowed to stay. But in case you take a special permission and you stay on campus for whatever issue you have come for, then a RT-PCR test must accompany the student for whatever time you stay in the hostel. So now, as far as the interactive section is concerned, we will be having an interactive session with you all between me and the Deputy Dean of Students Welfare on 8th September, 9th September, and 10th September between 4 to 5 p.m. on each day. And we'll be sharing this link with you as we go along. My contact details are shown to you, and so is the contact details of the Deputy Dean of Students, or the Deputy Dean of Students Welfare. Now, let me continue with the MTC. So, as far as the MTC is concerned, the instructors are retired JCOs from the Indian Army, and you are made to stay in the camp in field conditions. It's a very rigorous routine with military discipline, and then in the end, we have a passing out parade. Let me say that nearly 3,000 students, undergraduate students, have gone through this military training. We established in 2010, but between 2015 and 20, the number of students which have passed out or gone through this military camp is about 3,000 students. And as far as undergraduate students, I beg your pardon, the postgraduate students are concerned, we have had nearly 1,500 students attending this military training between 2015 and 2020. So this is the military camp, which is here on the 110-acre campus. It is tucked away in one corner of the campus. This is another view of the military training camp. This is the living accommodation. There are 8 students to one tent where you stay under field conditions. So let me show you some life at the campus during the military training camps. This is the marching out parade, which is there towards the end. And as far as why do we insist on drill? Because it inculcates discipline, it inculcates bearing and poise, and mind and body coordination. Then we have the military training. So you can see some students doing some obstacle crossing, the Burma Bridge, the 9-foot ditch, and the tunnel crossing. Some of you about the military obstacle crossings. What is the outcome of this military training? It makes you physically fit. It inculcates mind and body coordination, and it increases your self-esteem and confidence. So you can see for yourself, there are students going over the balancing bar and the high rope, which the students they climb on from one side and they descend from the other. Then we have the Zorban ball, where students are strapped inside the ball and they are made to roll around. And then we have one of the most exciting events in the military training, which is the parasailing. And what is the outcome of the adventure training? Kindle a spirit of adventure. Overcome fear of heights, because when you do parasailing, you go up to a height of anything up to 50 to 75 feet. And it again inculcates self-esteem and confidence in you. Then we have the rappelling and rock climbing, which is also a regular feature of the military training. Here you see some students on the right, he's doing rock climbing, and on the left you see him rappelling down the cliff wall. And this cliff wall is very close to it's in the vicinity of our university. Also, team building activities take part. They are all fun activities, and here you see girl cadets partaking in the tug of war competition. I would also like to touch upon certain welfare measures that the university has undertaken during the pandemic. Undoubtedly, the pandemic has been a difficult time for parents, students, and even the faculty and staff of this university. A number of us have lost dear ones during this pandemic. Our founder president and the chancellor of the university have announced that there will be financial support to the students who have lost their bread-earning parents. So there are approximately 150 students who are going to be provided absolutely free education for the remaining part of their studies at the Amity University. So we are giving them a scholarship, which is 100% fees for the rest of their stay in the university. As far as academic fee is concerned, we normally deduct academic fee at the beginning of the semester, but in the last 1 year, we have been taking the fee in parts because of the economic hardships which the students and the parents have faced. We've also had a fee review committee who has gone into the details. If students have not been able to pay their fees due to some problem at home, due to the bankruptcy or due to economic hardship of the parents, then we've also deferred the fee for some time. And last but not least, normally if a student does not pay his fees in time, a penalty is actually administered for late fees. So which in most of the cases during the last 1.5 years, we waived this penalty for the academic fee, late payment of the academic fee. So I have concluded. I have nothing more to add. Thank you for the patient hearing, my dear students. In the evening, we are having this talent hunt competition. And I would urge all of you to join in the fun and games that you will see for yourselves. It is totally voluntary. We have about 40 participants who are taking part during the evening event. I would urge maximum number of students to join in. So all the very best. And once again, we look forward to seeing you on campus. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I think there are a few questions, sir, that students have.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. So, Sir Triman Soen has a question that is there any table tennis club also available?
No, at the present moment, we have table tennis being played on campus, especially in the hostel itself. But we have no table tennis club, so to say. But you can, like I said, all clubs are generated by the idea. They want to start a table tennis club, and there are 10, 15 students who want to join in. We can start a club for them. That is not an issue. I hope that answers your question.
So the next question is regarding the vaccination. I guess the student is asking that what if they are not 18 yet? So what about the vaccination thing?
So if they are not 18 yet, and if the vaccination, they're not supposed to have a vaccination, so be it. So we will not insist on a vaccination for 18 and below. We are strictly following the state rules, and we are also strictly following the COVID rules. And COVID rules are that 18 and above, the vaccinations have been administered. I think one vaccination has been administered to practically everybody, and students are and young people are going in for the second vaccination also. So I would urge all of you to get your second vaccination. It will help you in fighting the disease and will also help us in allowing you to enter the university without any hesitation.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is regarding the eligibility criteria for military training. Is there any eligibility?
No, there is no eligibility criteria. It is totally voluntary. And like I said, it's an open elective. Any student can choose to opt for military training as an open elective. So if you are doing, let's say, BTech, there are certain courses you have to do which are compulsory, like behavioral science, language. So these are compulsory courses. And in addition to that, we have certain open electives that you can choose from, like painting, drawing, there's a large number of open electives that you can choose. And one of the open electives is military training. So it is entirely voluntary. If you want to join and you want to opt for military training, most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir, also, I think a few students are interested in swimming here. So many questions regarding swimming pool.
I am sorry, but right now we do not have a swimming pool. But the chancellor had spoken to me that if there are sizable number of students who want to do swimming, then and also during Sangathan, we could introduce swimming as a discipline, and we could take these students, we could hire a swimming pool in Gurgaon or Manesar where we could hold these competitions. But right now, we do not have a swimming pool on campus, but we are thinking about constructing one in the near future.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this exhaustive presentation has given students a very clear snapshot of how their upcoming life in the campus is going to be for the next few years. And it'll immensely help the students to blend in with the university environment whenever they are here with us physically, hopefully soon. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Niti, and thank you, students, for a patient hearing. And like I said, any more doubts, any more queries, just pick up the phone or send me an email, either me or the Deputy Dean of Students Welfare, and we'll most willingly answer all your queries. I understand, because when you are young students who have passed out from schools, you are stepping into the college era, and it's a new phase of your life. So there will be apprehensions, there will be a lot of doubts in your mind, and I understand that, because we've been seeing students who have, for the last 10 years, who have come from schools. They have a lot of issues, they have a lot of doubts. Most welcome. Please contact us, and we will try and answer all your doubts anytime that you wish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So before we move on, there's an announcement. Sir also said just now. So Dr. Ranjana Kothari has shared with all of you a link, and that's the link for the Zoom platform. It's regarding the talent hunt. It's an event which is being organized at the central level. So all of you are required to join the event positively. So it starts at 3 p.m. today in the second half, 3 to 5. So this is an important announcement. Please take a note of it. And since it's a central level event, all of you are required to join for it. Thank you. So moving on, entrepreneurship isn't just a label, it's a lifestyle. With these words, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar, Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor, Director Admissions, and Director Amity Business School to present the highlights of eCell and the Amity Incubation Center at the university. The Amity Innovation Incubation is supported by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under Mighty Startup Hub Tide 2.0. Dr. Vikas Madhukar is heading the Incubation Center and various other entrepreneurship initiatives at the university. He has a rich and a varied experience of about 20 years in teaching, training, research, consultancy, and administration. He has mentored several students in translating their ideas into commercially feasible business models and provided them the required startup support through the Incubation Center. May I now hand over the virtual dais to Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar for his deliberations on eCell and the Incubation Center. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Niti. And a very good morning to Major General Bal, my other colleague, faculty members, and students. Right, once again, a very good morning to all students. As Dr. Niti has just mentioned that this particular presentation is going to be on Amity Innovation Incubation Center. Before I start with the presentation on Incubation Center, let me give you a very quick glimpse about that how entrepreneurship ecosystem exists in country. If you look at this particular slide, you see the name of many familiar company, and these are the company they are probably among the top companies in the world. But the one fact about this company that none of this exist in 2006. All of this company they came into existence only after 2006. When I move to next slide, you will realize the speed, the importance of technology and importance of speed in today's business world. These are various examples which are showing you that how much time it took to reach 100 million customers. So if I talk about telephone, it took 75 years to reach 100 million customers. It took 7 years for web, 4 years for Facebook, 2 years for Insta, 1 month for Pokemon Go. So now you can realize the speed at which the business are operating. And there is a one thing which is driving this change. And that one thing is technology. Why I'm talking about technology? Because if we look back to the business environment, we see that the technology has drastically changed the business environment, especially in last 1.5 years of this COVID pandemic. The business model has changed. So when we are talking so much on technology, with the advent of technology, we have seen a surge in startups culture also. We have seen a lot of startups coming to the business, and we have seen a lot of successful startup, whether it is Zomato, Oyo, or you name any other startup. When we are talking about Indian startup ecosystem, India is currently the third largest startup ecosystem in the world and is home to 21 unicorn valued at $73.2 billion. We have close to 42,000 startups. These are the startups, those they are recognized by DPIIT, which has created almost 4.7 lakh jobs in the market. And about 4509 crore of investment has been invested in this startup in India. There are 3 important cities which are leading in startups, and Delhi NCR, including Gurugram, is one of those top 3 cities in startups coming in last 2 to 3 years. If I talk about the Amity Innovation Incubator, first of all, you must understand that what is the role of an incubation center in a university. The incubation center in a university is there to provide help and support to all those students. They have an intent to become an entrepreneur. They are not looking forward for a job. Rather, they want to be the job creator in the country. They want to be boss of their own. These students, they have innovative ideas in their mind, but probably they do not know that how to execute their idea, how to channelize their thought, and how to convert their idea into a business model. It is not only the mentorship in terms of converting the idea into a business model, but whole lot of handholding is required. Keeping this in mind, the Incubation Center has been established at Amity University, and you would be surprised that the Incubation Center, which was established in 2008 in Amity, was something which was unheard earlier in India. And Amity was perhaps the only few university among, apart from IITs, which has established its first incubation center in the university. And today, in last 13, 14 years of its establishment, today we have 11 physical incubator, almost incubator operating in all Amity University campuses in India. The incubated company have won awards like Microsoft, Tata and Hotel Startups, 500 plus company being incubated, including the companies of many students from Amity University itself. 55 plus companies graduated and performing well on standalone basis. Employment generated for more than 5,000 people, and 10,000 plus entrepreneurs, investors, technologists attended event fostering entrepreneurship ecosystem. More than 1,100 patents filed. There are groundbreaking technology being commercialized and are utilized by groups such as Delhi Metro, LG, ASL, Punjab Police Department, Maruti. Close ties with venture capitalists and angel investors, strategic collaboration with incubators in Europe, USA, and Asia. So you can understand, with all these statistics, you can understand the strength of Amity Innovation Incubator at Amity University. At Amity Innovation Incubator at Amity University, Haryana, clear philosophy to encourage and incubate technology-based new enterprise with innovative product and services, with a mandate to strengthen collaboration between industry and academia and turn ideas into visible businesses, have to encourage the student for entrepreneurship. So basically, if you read out these four lines are clearly stating what I had mentioned, the purpose of establishment of an incubation center, where we are inviting our students to come forward and join hand, where all kind of support, right, beginning from mentoring and advisory support, financial advisory support, infrastructure support, and all other kind of hand holding is given to the students, so that in the initial years of their business ideas, we can help those students, we can support those students. And and as a result, we have seen a lot of initiatives from the student. I am proud to mention that our incubation center has been supported by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under Mighty Startup Hub Type 2.0 G3C Incubation Center. This is the glimpse of our innovation incubation center. The incubation center is located an academic block B, third floor. Apart from Amity Innovation Incubator, we have a student entrepreneurship cell. We call it E-Cell. Like rightly it is written here, winning before graduating. So E-Cell has a specific purpose, that apart from Amity Innovation Incubator, E-Cell is actively operating and involved in creating an ecosystem of entrepreneurship and startups in the campus by involving students in various entrepreneurial events and activities, providing various opportunities to students to interact with entrepreneurs and helping them in developing business ideas, and providing startup support to the student through Amity Innovation Incubation Center. So what is the role of E-Cell here in the university? As I said, that E-Cell is actively engaged with the students. So E-Cell is a platform which is providing the opportunities of students to come forward and be a part of E-Cell, and the student are one who are running E-Cell. If I talk about the organization structure, that how the E-Cell is structured, here in ECEL, we have ECEL coordinator, where we have faculty mentors and advisors. Of course, the faculty play an equal role as a facilitator, and there will be a balance maintained. And then we have a students, and various students, they have a different role in ECEL. There are students, those they are managing event and marketing. Students are managing corporate relations. So students themselves are doing web development, media and PR, sponsorship, publication, and the students are playing a very active role in order to organize various events of ECEL, various competition, and also connecting with industry and the leading entrepreneur. The ECEL is organizing various activities. This is a just a quick list of various activities: entrepreneurship awareness camp, fortnightly lecture series, real entrepreneur, real stories, idea and design thinking workshop, B plan competition, hackathon, entrepreneurship boot camp, brainstorming session. I will show you the quick glimpse of these events organized by the ECEL. This is an orientation, and ECEL organize every year. Right now, this is a very short, quick orientation session, but post this orientation session, once your session will start in full swing, we will organize a full comprehensive 3-4 days orientation camp for the student. And practically we call it entrepreneurship awareness camp. So where we are going to sensitize and inform students about the various kind of services we are providing to the students, various kind of opportunities which are available for the student in the campus. These are another event, pre-hackathon and brainstorming session, 100 rupees challenge, where students produce various ideas, practices and services. Business pitch challenge, which is encouraging budding entrepreneur to conceive and formulate business idea. And this idea generation program aimed at helping students understand the process of creating business ideas and building upon them. App Lab is a very popular event of the ECEL, where in App Lab we are inviting students, and we are inviting their ideas that how a problem can be taken and converted into a solution through an application. And those applications, they are shortlisted and selected. They are further taken to the incubation center, where our technical team provide training to the student. They help student in the design and development of those applications. And once the applications are fully developed, the incubation center helps in commercializing those applications by constructing a business model. These are the App Lab event. Entrepreneurship camp, I was talking about this entrepreneurship camp, so which is primarily there to spread awareness about the entrepreneurship activities and entrepreneurship ecosystem available in the university. Friday fortnight sessions are another very popular activity of ECEL, where every fortnightly rather, every Friday or fortnight, we are inviting young entrepreneurs to the university. We call it real entrepreneurs, real story, and we call it learn entrepreneurship from real entrepreneur. So this particular event is giving a first-hand exposure to students to have an interaction with the budding entrepreneur, and it is very good to hear from the mouth of these entrepreneurs, where they are sharing their success story. They are sharing that how they've been able to generate an idea, what kind of problems, hurdles they have faced in their entrepreneurial journey, and what kind of probable problem an entrepreneur can face. Not only this, they are also giving advice and doing mentorship for the students. This is another Friday fortnight session. Every year in the month of September, as we've been talking about repeatedly, you must have heard this in last 3 years, that been talking about the Innovation Day, which we celebrate in September. So September is earmarked as a month of innovation. So we celebrate the all institutions, they organize various activities focused on innovation. Another important event is Entrepreneur Accelerator. It is an initiative to inspire, create, and support student entrepreneur. So it is Accelerator is a fixed term program that usually lasts from 3 to 12 months. right? So where we invite not only the students from our university, but from outside. I was talking about the hackathon. This is an event which we organized in 2020 last year during COVID. So we call it, instead of hackathon, we called it COVID hackathon. So COVID hackathon, it was an opportunity given to students and working professional to build software solutions and also innovative idea that drives social impact with the aim of tackling some of the challenges related to current coronavirus pandemic. And I'm happy to share that we have received almost 45 ideas and the presentations last for 2 to 3 days. Out of these 45 ideas, we have shortlisted and selected 3 ideas. And out of these 3 ideas, the incubator has supported these 3 ideas, has provided funding. And now I'm happy to share that these three, out of these three, two ideas are reached. They have reached to the prototype stage. In a short while, I will request one of my colleague who has presented his idea. I think is there, Dr. Atul Thakur, who has developed a prototype mask for which is double triple filter. Similarly, there are other events which has been organized, webinar under eCell. These are the other event managing product quality design. We not only organize event for our students, but also the event has organized for the entrepreneur as well. So we have large community of entrepreneurs. Those they are connected with incubation center in different capacity. They are not only mentoring our students, but also they are contributing in many ways. I was talking about the mask, which was as an outcome of this COVID hackathon. So these were the 3 ideas I was talking about, which were shortlisted. And you can see this is a prototype developed by our students under the guidance of our eminent faculty members. So now this particular mask is very special mask, and this mask is now going to the final stage of market testing. And once we will through with the market testing of this mask, then we will commercialize this mask, and then this mask will be available for sale. We time to time we keep organizing our seed support committee meeting. So what is a seed support committee meeting? In seed support committee meeting, we keep inviting ideas and business pitch. So where we call experts from outside as well, and this is how the business ideas been shortlisted. And once the idea is shortlisted and selected, we take these ideas to the incubation center. These are the few of the ideas which were converted into startups. These all are student idea. And I think, Dr. Rajana, we have our one student, Mr. Ayush Avasthi. Rajana, can you hear me?
Sir, he was here, but due to some network issues, he lost the connection.
Oh, no problem.
So
So
he
we
sent you a
actually
message.
called one of our student who was graduated last year, and he was a part of ECEL. Was playing a very active role in managing various events, and he was one of the great student coordinator. And later, after graduating from Amity University, he did his engineering BTech degree from Amity. Although he has got an offer from Infosys, but he did not join Infosys. He declined that offer because he was very clear in thought that he wanted to start his own. And finally, he has made his dream come true, and he has established an apparel venture. I think this bottom and the photo which you can see on this slide, right? So where you can see 2-3 models. This is the screenshot of the website of the same student Ayush, who has instituted a venture in apparel. And now, I mean, he is very good response he has received from the market, and good amount of traction he is earning. And these are the various other startups. So altogether, we have more than 25 startups, student startups, which is supported by the Incubation Center. Now, to give more insight about Incubation Center, I would request IT to play a video. This video will give you more detailed insight about the Incubation Center. You will have an opportunity to listen to the incubators, those they were supported by the Incubation Center. Thank you. Thank you for playing this video. So you have seen in this video that how the various students' body is involved very actively, and they are organizing and managing the various events. You have heard the words from the incubator. Those they were supported by the incubation, and I just would like to have a quick introduction of my faculty member. You can see on screen, Dr. Ranjana Kothari is here. She is associate professor with Amity Business School, and also a faculty mentor and supporting and helping students. And then you can also see on the screen Dr. Niti Chatterjee. Dr. Niti Chatterjee is also assistant professor at Amity Business School and is a faculty mentor. And apart from Dr. Ranjana and Dr. Niti, we have few other faculty members, those they are from engineering and other institutions. So there is a very, very strong team of faculty there to look after, guide you, and support you. So I would like to invite all of you to eCell. Dr. Ranjana has already shared a link on the screen. There is a Google form. So the student, those they would like to be part of eCell, they want to join, they have an idea in their mind, they want to become entrepreneur. Even if the student, those they don't have an idea, but somewhere in their mind they are thinking, yes, I should start my business. Because many students, they are coming to me, they are asking, sir, I want to become an entrepreneur, but I don't have an idea, I don't have any idea that what to start and what to do. So we are also helping all those students. There are student, right, those initially they thought that the entrepreneurship is very risky, because there is a one big hindrance which is stopping them is fear of failure. So my dear student, if you have any such kind of fear of failure, so we are here to encourage you, because when you are starting your venture through Incubation Center, the risk involved is zero. Why I say the risk involved is zero? Risk involved is zero because your university is here, which is supporting you in everything. It is the university who is funding you. It is the university who is giving you infrastructure. It is the university who is giving you the office space and all kind of hand holding. By the time we feel that you are strong enough to stand up, from startup to stand up, and then only we happily say best of luck and you graduate from the incubation center. So don't hesitate to come forward, click on this link and come to us. And once we will receive the nomination and invitation from you, we will have a separate session on this, and where we'll have more discussion. Dr. Ranjana has mentioned one more thing about the entrepreneurship course, what we are offering in the university. So where there is an track on entrepreneurship under open elective, where students of any program, I said the students of any program can choose entrepreneurship as a minor track, whether you are from engineering, law, biotechnology, or any other school. You have an option to choose entrepreneurship as a minor degree, and you will get two certificates. One certificate will be given by the university as a minor, and another will be given by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, because this particular program is initiated under the banner of Pradhan Mantri Yuva Yojana, where our Honorable Prime Minister has a vision to produce 5 lakh young entrepreneurs in the next 5 years. With this, I will close this. Thank you very much and all the best. Thank you, Dr. Niti. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your rich insights on the functioning of the Amity Incubation Center. I'm sure there are a lot of budding entrepreneurs in this new crop of students who have joined us, and I'm sure eCell and the Incubation Center would channelize their ideas and take it forward. So thank you so much, sir, once again. Moving on. Concerns of a jobless future have never been greater as they are today. This is driven by the fourth industrial revolution and its ingredients like automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, and deep learning. Induction of more and more millennials in the workforce, their unique aspirations and career expectations is bringing about a paradigm shift in the way employees and employers both are looking at workplace. To top it all, the COVID pandemic has forced the employers to completely rethink and reimagine the kind of experience they would like to give to not only their current employees, but also their future employees. This constitutes a fertile ground for discussions and deliberations on career aspirations and future of work in the current times. Amity University believes in nurturing talents and creating a strong foundation for our students according to the contemporary industry requirements. To support this endeavor, today we have with us some eminent industry experts who would give us a rich insight on rebuilding and reimagining jobs for digital transformation, career aspirations, and future of work. It's a pleasure to have our guests from the industry. May I now take the privilege of introducing our guest speakers for the day. Our first speaker is Ms. Kisha Gupta. She is the Director, Marketing and Head of Global Academic Relations at Infosys. Ms. Kisha Gupta has traveled to more than 70 countries, has worked with people from over 106 nationalities, and has led teams across continents. She's an experienced and highly effective team leader who works with teams to plan, monitor, deliver, evaluate, and most of all, enjoy the process. She has an extensive experience in syndicated research, content writing for thought leadership, and case studies. Besides this, she's a seasoned professional in coaching, mentoring, and team building. Ability to manage multiple projects, diverse teams in time crunch situations with attention to minute details is her forte. With these words, I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. And now I would like to hand over the dice to you. Over to you, Ms. Kisha Gupta.
Hi, thank you so much, Neeti. Thank you for that warm welcome. My first question, in fact, to you is, before I start off, are we going to be discussing within the four people as a panel, or I'm just supposed to finish my remarks and then we go over to the next speaker?
Yeah, that is how it is supposed to be. So first you need to address our students, and in case there are any questions, we'll take up the questions and then we move on to the next speaker. So that's the format.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Neeti, again. And hey, everyone. So I walked the gates you're about to walk many years ago. I was in Amity from 2005 and 2007. I was doing my MBA. Those were life-changing years in more ways than one, because I don't think I had the kind of exposure before that. It was also very stressful at times because you have presentation deadlines. You're supposed to deliver a presentation tomorrow and you're sitting all night burning the midnight oil, trying to get everything together. So it's very stressful at times, but it's so well paid off later because you realize the value of hard work, you realize the value of diligence. You also are so sure of what you want to achieve in life and what you're putting your purpose together for. So those are some incredible months that lie ahead of you, and I wish you all the best in achieving everything that you want to achieve. When Arun sir asked me to deliver a talk, I wasn't exactly sure what I'm going to say, but then I thought, let me tell you 3 things which I would tell myself 15 years back when I was at Amity. And these are as follows, the 3 things. One is, a lot of us are not exactly clear that what lies ahead, especially now with the pandemic and everything being virtual. So, kya hoga? It's a very constant question. Okay, when will I finish this? What kind of a job do I want to go into? How will it pay me, etc. There's so many questions in your head, and you do get stressed about those questions. But after having figured what happens after that, I can tell my 15-year younger self that don't stress over it. It all comes out well. All you need to do is, Amity is a journey in a lot of ways. And what you need to make of it is try to find what you're passionate about. It'll show you, just like we heard about the entrepreneurship cell right now. We heard about, all the amazing work that you're doing with military training. So what's your calling? What's your passion? Just try to identify that in these 2, 3, 4, whatever number of years you have at the school. And that's your biggest takeaway from the school or from the university, to find out what you're passionate about. That's one. So don't stress about it. If you don't know where I want to go, what I want to do, you will figure it out. All will be well. Second, the professors at Amity are stunning. These people are really, really good at what they do. So the more you're able to, how we are in school, we are a little rebellious, like, the teachers don't know it, we know it. Oh my God, this teacher is like really difficult to be with. But then you figure over a period of time that whatever they have done or whatever they learned, it's with such seasoning that comes from years and years of knowing what's right and what's wrong. So if you can imbibe in your teacher's footsteps, in your professor's footsteps, it's going to help you so much. Like I still remember there was one of my professors at Amity, her name was Yasmin, and she used to teach us organizational behavior. I still refer to her lessons in so many situations that I come across because she was brilliant at what she did. So do imbibe whatever your professors are trying to help you with. And third, it's a great place for exposure. So while you may be really fitted in your classes of strategy and marketing and organizational development and all of that, or finance, hated finance, but okay. So while you might be just absorbed in all of this, you should not forget that it's a networking space. You should network with your fellow students, with your professors, with so many companies that want to come on the campus and interact with all of you. Please make the most of it. Your networks last you a lifetime. So those are three things I would tell my 15 years younger self when I was at the school to not stress about and make most of. It's also going to define the future of work because networking, learning, and upskilling are going to stay here irrespective of the format, remote, on-site, or hybrid. So please make the most of it irrespective of the format you choose to get your education in. And I wish you all the best. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them up, or I'm around for some time for anything else that you might need. Thank you. Back to you, Neeti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think you touch based on certain very, very fundamental points which we tend to forget. Learning, networking, imbibing, values from our teachers. So very basic things in life, but they're extremely important, and we tend to forget this in the long run. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you, Neeti.
Moving on, we have with us Mr. Vikas Gupta, founder and chairman of the VFN Group. Mr. Vikas Gupta has been an industry veteran and has a colossal academic and professional background. He's also had a significant role and association with the world's leading brands like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young. He has also been the youngest GM Finance in the history of Escorts Limited. At an early age of 23 and at the peak of a rewarding career, he entered the Entrepreneur Club, thus sacrificing his role as the Chief Operating Officer. With his astounding efforts, association, and services to more than 90 Fortune 500 companies over 19 years, today VFN Group is heading to be a part of the $1 billion club. Mr. Gupta is also the Finance Secretary for Delhi Management Association and a trustee for various NGOs and premier associations in India and abroad. It's an honor to have you with us, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Neeti.
Thank you, sir.
So, good morning, gentlemen and the students, and interesting panel. So, very happy to listen to the things which Ms. Kisha. So, I would like to borrow few things from her, discussion. So, students. I've been. Like I did my MBA almost 20 years back, 21 years back to be specific, and I studied from IMT Ghaziabad, and those days. So two things which I firmly believe in life is that through networking and being agile, because so though my presentation has few slides, so I would just like you to take through. Can you please jump the slide? Yeah. So one has to be agile. One has to be agile and flexible in his life. So if you see, if we compare ourselves from 2 decades before 2000 and 2021 now, so everything has drastically changed. So earlier we were technology poor, we had abundant time, we were socially very low. We used to work for standard working hours, no brand preference. Then now, everything has really, really changed. Now, this is the time, when we are working from homes. It's a new in. So from technology poor, we are now more tech savvy. Now, earlier we had abundant time, but thanks to this pandemic, so now at least we can create some time, provided we can, factor the differentiation from working from home, and we have to really now learn that how to balance between your personal and the professional life. so that because I've been getting lots and lots of discussions from the HR fraternities, from the various client side, that it is becoming very difficult to follow that discipline, that how to balance between your personal time and the because working from home is a new thing, which is a new in, and I think all you budding professionals have to understand that we will be entering a new world post pandemic, and this is time when we have to learn that how the challenges are there. So we need to really understand upskill, and the VUCA environment which is there, we have to take care. And then earlier, I was just coming back to this slide. So drastically, for 2 decades things have drastically changed, but now with this changing dynamics, changing the way the economy and the world is moving, with these new learnings comes new understanding, and we have to really enlarge our vision. We have to understand the constraints in which we work. We have to remain on the top of it. We have to remain healthy, because recently you saw all the young people having a cardiac arrest. Recently one of the very talked about celebrities died of a cardiac arrest. So I think need of the hour is we have to really strike the balance between our work life, personal life, and post-pandemic, this new world which is welcoming us. So we have to really, come up, understand well, understand the requirements of our future, and understand the constraints in which we are presently working. Take the advantages through upskilling, through networking, as the earlier speaker has suggested, and then also we have to be agile. So the VUCA, which was a problem earlier, so now we have to, through vision, upskilling, and through regular earning and through agility, has to come up in a big way, and see to it that we are entering into a totally competitive and a new world. And also at the same time, we should be responsible for taking a big care about our health, about our learnings, and post-pandemic, once and we are entering into the new professional, structures, more congenial environments in which we have to create and understand the advantages and disadvantages of work from home. So once you enter into your professional careers, once you crack from your B schools, then you have to really understand and adapt well to the new world, because working from home culture, getting connected to the more competitive world outside, one has to really come back with the full throttle, with the full and also you cannot compromise on your health. So you have to remain healthy by heart, you have to remain healthy by your mental health as well as physical health. So with that, I sum up my discussion, and thank you, moderators, and I'm open for any questions. And so I had conclude by saying that we really need to, from this learning times, so this is the time to unlearn, relearn the perspectives, and then, create a fantastic innings for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have one question from Anas Khalid. He is asking that which companies would be better to work for in the network marketing space? So if you'd just like to take that question, sir.
So a lot of IT companies and FMCG companies, are there. And so if you can, since it's a generic question, so if you can, separately or maybe over an email, let us. So there are companies like, so just to set an example, there are companies like Adobe, there are companies like Facebook, there are companies like Samsung, so which are welcoming a lot of IT networking websites, and they're also inviting freelancing proposals from the budding people who have done fantastically well in their careers. And then so there are so many plethora of options which have come up. So if the questions can be more specific, then I'll be delighted to help.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you anyways. So I think you've raised a few very pertinent points. But I think the most interesting point that you raised was about the unlearning. So I think this is really that time where we have to unlearn a lot of things which we were doing, the way we were doing. Companies, organizations, employees, everybody. We all need to unlearn a lot of things and then maybe refreeze them and reinforce them in a much different perspective for the times to come. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Before I move ahead, I'd just like to remind all the students that lest you forget, please positively join the talent hunt from 3 to 5 p.m. and the link for which has already been shared in the chat box. So it's from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and it is being conducted over the Zoom platform. To enlighten us further, I would like to invite Mr. Ajay Agarwal, Director and Head Customer Delivery, HWSD India Operations for Nokia Telecom based at Gurgaon. An alumnus of IIT Roorkee and IIM Calcutta, Mr. Agarwal has a wide range of experience of more than 33 years in various roles like customer delivery and repair operations, supply chain management, both domestic and international, manufacturing operations management, like engineering and transfer of technology, and implementation of SAP ERP modules for organizations like Nokia, Alcatel-Lucent, HCL Hewlett-Packard, and Modi Rubber Limited. Besides being an industry stalwart, he is also an active volunteer of the Art of Living NGO. I welcome and invite you, sir, to enrich us with your ideas on this issue. Over to you, sir.
Hello, Niti and others. Very, very good morning.
Good
Are
morning.
you able to hear me? Am I audible well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. So once again, very, very warm and good morning to all the students and all the faculty members. And I am sincerely thankful for giving me this privilege just to spend some time, although this is virtually. However, my always preference is to have a face-to-face. And just to connect with the students and then trying to help realizing their dreams or aspirations, whatever they are having. So here, I'll just request all students just to ponder for the question, why career and career for whom? So if they will see, they will think, sorry, here you will be hearing some noise because some construction activity is going on in nearby flat. So you'll have to pardon me for that. This is unavoidable. Okay, Nitin? So my dear students, all the students can take out maybe a few minutes, a few seconds for answering this question for the self, for whom this career is required and why career is required. Then they may come up with so many things. It is just to earn, it is just to live the life. However, all these things for whom? The person who is doing or who is aspiring for some career, is person is really happy, or that person is simply postponing the happiness to achieve maybe things in the future. And this, if we look at, they may look at some of their past also, when they were maybe students in the standard of 8th, maybe 10th and 12th, then they might be, they were worried what will happen after the board, what will happen when they will go to the college. So same way they can assure themselves that putting 100% to their passion and interest, their career will be fantastic. As Kisha also shared maybe 15 years back, her remembrance into the campus, same memories are there with everybody, even for these students who are recently coming to your Amity University. They are having maybe school days memories. So they should identify that what is their passion, what is their interest, and they should not fear from the failures, because failure is the stepping stone of the success. And this I have seen, I have experienced in my professional life as well as in the personal life also. So I will just touch base on the future of the work. Maybe 25, 30 years back, situation used to be one life, one job, or one life, one profession. And people used to work, think maybe 10 to 5, maybe as Vikas said, that so much of time used to be there, maybe not too much of expectation from the social and other things, and then not tech savvy and so many other things were not there. However, these days things are changing. Now, one survey says it is one life and anything between 5 to 6 job change or profession change. How it will be in the future? Future is changing. And now it's a coming up combination of virtual as well as face-to-face office. It will be a combination. And it's no more will be a 9 to 5, 9 to 6 type of job. It will be flexible in the timings, flexibility into the working, and even not a continuous just maybe working till age of 58 or 60 or 55. People can choose. So in coming decades, especially 5 to 10 years, we are going to experience too much of changes into these so-called careers or professions or whatever we'll prefer to use it. And majority of situations gone are those days where masters, maybe if somebody is expert into one field, that they will continue and flourish into that only. No. Then one has to continuously upskill and change. If they are not, then in the kind of this future, this career aspirations, they can consider themselves as lagging behind a lot. So from that perspective, it will be a combination of virtual plus learning. How we can do that, we'll have to decide. At the same time, flexibility and agility is very, very important for each one of us. If we are not having, then it is really not be helpful in fulfilling our career aspirations. Same way, I was just listening this military training. I really found this is a very, very interesting thing, and I'll request all the students on a personal recommendations, they should do it. It is going to help like anything into their personal and professional life both. Same way, this e-cell and incubation, this technology is coming up a sort of at times a disruption, at times movement and innovation. So we should not keep ourselves aloof with that. And this pandemic has also brought so many changes into our respective life, whether it is personal, social, and professional. So we should embrace all those changes and we should not be rigid towards any changes. So my sincere request and recommendation to all the students is that do not forget to take care of your health, of your body, and please do have some time to recharge your body also, like we are taking care of recharging of our mobile. With this, I'd like to sum up and sincerely wishing a lot of bright future for all the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Again, I would say that you have raised extremely relevant issues related to the topic. And the great thing about all the three speakers has been that they have not gone into the technicalities of the industry and whatever is happening in the corridors of the corporates, but they have kept it very simple so that our students can connect to it. So I think it's been great. Thank you so much, sir.
I think there is a good takeaway from the session. And
Yes.
I really liked one thing which the last speaker had just spoke about, that now in this changing world, you just cannot rely on one single career.
Absolutely.
Right. So gone are the days when you are going to join a job and then you are going to retire from the same job after 30, 40 years. Now this idea of a single long lasting career is becoming a thing of the past. Now today, a college graduate may work for as many as company in their first 10 years of graduation. And I would compare it, it is just like, riding on the wave, riding on the wave. Consider yourself as a surfer. Like we catch a good wave early in our life, as at it crests and falls, we need to look for a next wave. So this is a time of developing different kind of skills, different kind of skill set. So it's an era of multitasking, right? So where your employer, say you are doing MBA in finance or MBA in marketing, so your employer is not just happy with the skill set in the finance domain or marketing domain, but the employer must be interested to have, other kind of skill set, and specifically the skill set related to where you have a technology orientation, particularly in data sciences, analytic, right? So that kind of exposure is must. So in times to come, I feel a very, very relevant point has been highlighted, right? So where we are looking forward for a workplace which is going to be more flexible. We are looking forward for a workplace where, the technology is going to play a great role. And yes, of course, I mean, the student must be thinking about one question, and that I would like to ask on the behalf of the student itself, and any of the speaker can address that particular question. The question is that when been talking about that technology is going to take up a very important place in times to come, right? Rather, it has taken an important place. When I was a student, somebody has mentioned that he has done MBA 20 years back. I also did MBA 21 years back. And when I was a student of MBA, I read an article in an economic time, and the title of the article was very interesting. At that time, probably I could not think that yes, it is going to happen very soon. The title of that article was a bank without banker, bank without banker. So when I was reading that particular article, that was talking about the how the technology is going to change the sphere of banking industry. And after 10 years, I saw that it has become a reality. And now, we see when we are actually not required to go to bank for any of the transaction. Even if we are going to a bank, we don't find too many people over there in a branch. Now, bank, instead of having a big branch with many employees working in that branch, now we have a small size of branch with only 4-5 employees there working and doing all other back-end operations. So the question comes from here that with the advent of technology, when more and more technology adoption is going to there in the business in times to come, so how does this technology is going to impact the job prospects for the newcomer? I think somebody can throw a light on this, and also simultaneously mention the what is required to be done in this direction. Thank you. Over to you.
So I would like to answer this question. So I think Dr. Vikas, you rightly hit it the point that technology, is the only thing which could disrupt in the near future. Now, the only way to reach out to the masses, so due to the paucity of the time, I could not share the third slide of mine. So we are the youngest population of the world. 55% of the population is under 35 years. And we are the people who are demanding, who are consuming and giving the chance to grow to the rest of the world, So we are heading towards a 5 trillion economy. So given that as a center stage, and the real answer to your question, the only way to reach out to the masses is through technology. So the ed space, the education space, the FMCG space, the food processing industry, the entertainment industry, everything today, the real screens which you have seen, like you used to go to movie halls to watch movies. Now the Netflix, the Amazons and whatnots is the new in. That has all been possible through leveraging the technology. So I think technology is only required to in the near future to really reach out to the millions and billions of the faces. This is the only way the new startup companies had found the marketplace. And you see a new startup coming and becoming a unicorn in 3 years. I can cite an example. One of my clients who, was the ex MD of Adobe. Then he became the MD of Facebook, and now he's the founder of a company called Daily Hunt Josh. So in less than 3 months, you have seen that that company has become a $1,000, 1,000 crore company. So that has all been possible through technology.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing the way the business startups are growing up and the valuation is changing in multiply. And recently, when the Zomato came out with this IPO, after an IPO, InfoEdge, who has just invested an amount of around 3 or 4 crore, in 10 years before, that has become 5,000 crore in 7 or 8 years. So this is how the startups are contributing and multiplying the investment. A very relevant point you have raised with reference to technology. I just would like to share one simple slide, and I believe that particular slide is speaking much about the kind of skill set which is required in times to come. I will request IT to please give a screen share right so that I can quickly share this slide. Yes, thank you. So this is something which is, I believe, is going to happen in times to come. So where I wanted to focus that the students, they need to be multitasking, where technical job with scarce skill set is going to be the norms in the new industry expectations. And we are going to have emergence of hybrid job. So gone are the days, right, when we were talking about one single specialization and one single job. And and this cycle will continue, because once you are out of the university and you are doing a job, then again you need to focus. Maybe you may become irrelevant after 2 years or 3 years, the way the new technology is coming up and new things are coming, and you need to upgrade every time. So I think this is one important message for you student, that how the future of work is going to be and what kind of skill set is going to be. Thank you.
So, hi, this is Manoj Sani, and I would like to give my word of thanks to Kisha for a very inspiring and motivating talk, to Vikas ji and to Ajay Agarwal sahab. Thank you for your time, and inspiring and motivating our students to, to do about the career aspirations and future of work. So indeed, I'm delighted that we could have you here, and I'm sure the students would have taken a lot of learning. Rightfully, to sum it up, Kisha stressed upon, uh, don't take much of stress. Take a lot of learning and networking. She spoke about Amity, the professors here, and we are actually proud of Kisha, because down the line, 15 to 20 years, we would also like you to invite to all of you who will be graduating soon from our university to address this forum. Vikas ji, indeed a good presentation. You spoke about time and money constraints, work-life balance, which is important. You spoke on the health of the mental and physical health, the VUCA part, the vision, upskilling, ability, and all. So that was again, a lot of learning for the students. Ajay ji, at the end, thank you so much, sir, for your time. It is hard to catch you, but thankfully we got you right. We took some time out of your busy schedule. Failures lead to success, sir, rightfully stressed upon. And of course, you emphasized, on the need of the military training, which for our students, which we do, because punctuality is utmost important in today's time, sir. Discipline, punctuality, that makes that completes you actually. You also spoke about the e-cell, and and I'm sure you like the facilities we have at Amity University. Unfortunately, there was another speaker, Mr. Alok Sinha, who is the CEO of Globus 8. Due to some family emergency, he could not join. He has sent a regret message. But having said that, sir, really indeed a pleasure to have you here. And of course, you are the people who have fostered enormous growth to your organization with your capabilities and abilities. And I'm sure our students would carry a lot of knowledge post this session. Have a great day, sir. And thank you, my dear students, for joining us. Thank you, Vikas, sir. At the end, for your question, and you spoke about hybrid, mode, and the future of jobs. That was really incredible, sir. I'm sure the students would have learned a lot. Thank you so much at the end. I thank my colleague, Deputy Director Ankur Gupta, my entire Corporate Resource Center team, and of course, specifically our Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vikas Madhukar, for being there for such an enlightening session. Have a great day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you so much. It was indeed an inspiring session. Thank you to all the industry experts. Thank you, Dr. Vikas Madhukar. Moving ahead, your customer doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The rise of the gig economy, fueled by the technology market, has forced companies to get into the head of their customers, and that is what differentiates one business from the other today. And when speaking about getting into the customer's head, what else would be more relevant other than design thinking? May I now have the privilege to introduce our next guest speaker, Ms. Ekta Jaffrey. Ms. Ekta Jaffrey is the design director at IBM, a user experience and interaction evangelist, design thinker, and strategist. Ms. Jaffrey has 23 years of experience in design and strategy. She has been a product designer with several successfully deployed white-labeled and public-facing products in the market. She has successfully driven innovations to drive monetization and user adoption across different geographies, sectors, and industries. She's also a UX coach and teaching interaction design at Anant National University, which is India's first design university. A strong user advocate and a leader, she brings research-led insights into design delivery to drive innovation and align the teams towards user outcomes. With these words, I extend a very warm welcome to you, ma'am, and we really look forward to your workshop on design thinking. Over to you.
Thank you, Ekta ji. On behalf of Amity University, Haryana, Gurugram, I extend once again a very warm welcome to you and thank you for accepting the invitation. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. Thank you, Neeti. And lovely to meet all of you. Hi, my name is Ekta Jaffrey. I work at IBM as a designer. Basically, essentially, I'm a designer. And I've learned through experience, through doing things, through making, through reflecting, through doing research. So I bring with me stories from the road and learnings from the road as well. So it'll be great if you can keep the questions flowing. I'm going to talk about enterprise design thinking today. Enterprise design thinking is a methodology. It's a problem-solving methodology, just like any other design thinking. Enterprise design thinking is also a sorry about that. Yeah. So enterprise design thinking is also a problem-solving methodology. But what problems does it help you solve? What problems does design thinking help you solve? Design thinking is, enterprise design thinking especially, is used in the market today to accelerate projects, to accelerate how companies innovate, to do innovation on the go, to develop design thinking and user centricity as a muscle in each organization, where they will be able to use the principles of design thinking as they keep thinking and they keep strategizing about things on the go, right? So enterprise design thinking is also, you could say it is based on more than 20 years of working with organizations, say. So therefore it's called enterprise design thinking, because it's really meant for enterprises. It's meant for back-end business. It's meant for B2B. It can also be applied to B2C. And if you see, the methodology can actually be applied to anything in life. We've done innovation jams where we've looked at why doesn't India have enough sports people, or how can we get ahead in the arms race, for instance, or how can we address climate change goals that we have. So enterprise design thinking can actually be applied to a variety of things, but it's most very well suited to internal enterprise operations. What does that mean? That basically means that companies, and really large companies, oftentimes, companies like Shell and Coke and Nestle and really large companies like that, when they need to innovate on the ground, when they need to do something on the ground, when they need to get teams together, to think together. And that's really a new way of working today. A new way of working today is doing everything iterative. That everything is a loop. The loop that you see here, the infinite loop. So everything is a loop today. So therefore, enterprise design is not just a workshop. It's not just a 2-day course as it's written here. Enterprise design thinking is a methodology that you can internalize. And how do you internalize that? You internalize that by internalizing the principles that it stands on. So I'm going to talk about the principles today. And I would encourage all of you to go to IBM Design Thinking University. Yes, there is a university online that you can go to. And the Enterprise Design Thinking Practitioners course, the foundations course that you're looking at right now, is available online for anybody can do. And if you do that course, you will get a badge that says you are an Enterprise Design Thinking Practitioner. So that's basically the detailing. But let me explain to you what really the principles are of enterprise design thinking. Yeah. So observe, reflect, make. There are 3 words that really design thinking stands on. And if you look at the loop, which represents design thinking today, this loop, the different parts of this loop are observe, reflect, make. And that's basically the foundations that all design stands on today. All design stands on you looking at data, understanding what the data says to you, because data definitely tells stories. So understanding what exactly is it that the data is saying to you, reflecting upon it, understanding that the data is telling you that the market needs X, or the users are having Y problem, or the biggest barrier in front of the user in order to buy your product or to contribute to your company or to join your company or to share your post on Facebook. In order to do anything, the barrier that is standing in front of them is Z. So when you observe people in their habitat, when you observe people, where they are in context of where they are, you immerse yourself in your user's world. And that is key. That is absolutely key. And fundamentally, that's also absolute key to basically doing anything that you want to do in life, right? You should have enough data about it. Before you put pen to paper, you should have enough data about it. You should have enough data on what the user says, what is it that the market is telling you, what are the outcomes that you want in the market, etc., etc. So primary research, talking to users, observing your users, immersing yourself in the user's world, is what really contributes towards meaningful outcomes, because it makes you more mindful, more user-centric. It also gives you aha moments that you may not have had before you started working on. So what happens is that when we start working on something, that product becomes our shiny new thing, right? And we get so obsessed with that product and we get so attached to that product that we think that the imagination, that the way we are imagining the product is the way the market wants it. But sometimes you may have a great product, but when you go to the market may not accept it at all. Why is it that the market is not accepting it? Usually it is because there are some critical factors called motivations and barriers, right? Motivations are things that motivate the user to buy your product, and barriers are what prevents them from buying your product. So when you observe users and you immerse yourself in their world, you find out what their pain points are that you can solve through your product. How can you make your product better so that it solves the pain points that the users have? That's a question that gets answered. The other question that gets answered is that what are the barriers in the user's mind which may prevent him from buying your products, and you remove those barriers bit by bit. What are the motivations in the user's mind that you can pick out and amplify? if you can answer that motivation, if you can match it with the right moment of truth, you've got your right product there. So observing is superbly important. The next piece that's superbly important is reflection. When you get observations from the market, when you understand what the users are looking for, what their pain points are, what their barriers are, what their motivations are, you bring them together into something that we call a persona. Can I get some hands raised from the audience as to if you guys know what a persona is? Actually, I can't see on this. Neeti, would you be able to tell me?
I think students can reply in the chat box.
Okay. How will I see the channel? Do you have any clue? The chat, I'll put on chat.
Yeah, it's the towards the right hand side, the chat box. Students, please reply whether you understand persona, the meaning of persona. Okay, ma'am, there are no replies, so I think you can go ahead.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me explain what a persona is. No worries. So a persona is the likeliness towards. Oh, very good, super. I got it. It's the perception that people have of an individual. Absolutely, a persona is that. A persona means to personify something into the physical self. Absolutely, bang on right, Manveer Singh. The personality we show in front of the public. Well, yes, Mayank. But it is the personality that we show in front of the public, but it is also our intrinsic barriers, motivations, pain points, things that we may feel inside. And when we look at a persona, we look at multiple parts of what they're thinking. So we also look at their conscious mind. We look at what they're thinking, what could they be feeling, what should they be saying, what could they be doing, right? And we also think about what is it that they would be feeling and thinking. And those are really things that you can only understand once you observe what they're doing and what they're saying. So if you put that all into a chart, that's called an empathy map for a persona, right? So a persona is really not only the outside of the person, but also the inside of the person. So what are their intrinsic goals? If a persona archetype is a loving mother, the moment I say loving mother, you imagine a person, right? You imagine a female who's very loving towards her children. You also imagine a female who will sacrifice a lot of things for her children, whose paramount thought is for her children. You would also imagine a person who would dedicate herself to her children. So the moment you say loving mother, the persona, the archetype, and what is an archetype? Archetype is a typical persona, right? So the moment you say loving mother, not only do you understand what I'm talking about, you also get a certain feeling inside you, right? You also get a certain feeling that you associate with a loving mother, right? So putting people into personas and archetypes, putting data into personas and archetypes allows you to imagine what is it that the person is feeling intrinsically inside. What are their barriers inside? What are their motivations inside? Right? So that's basically what a persona is. So a persona is generally, you can look at it as a bucket for the data that you collect about the users. So let's say you collect data about the users where it says that large part of your audience is female. The audience accesses it at after 7 o'clock at night mostly. Their sessions are short. When we go and talk to our archetypical users, as in a typical user, when I find and I speak to that typical user, the typical user tells me that their motivation to come to my website is so that they can ensure that dinner is happening on time. It could be a recipe website, for instance. So the moment you get all this data and you start imagining an individual who matches this data, that individual is called a persona, right? And a persona keeps changing. A persona for a product will change according to the context you put the persona in. So in all kinds of different contexts, the personas respond differently, right? So for example, if I'm an archetype of loving mother, if I'm put into a context where I'm picking out clothes for my son, for instance, I will have a certain the moment you say a loving mother is picking out clothes for her son, you immediately imagine what she will have at the forefront of her mind, and you match that with what you heard her say in interviews. So you may have heard her say, I look for my son's favorite color. And so the persona becomes, so it adds a dimension, a layer to the persona, where the persona suddenly has an emotion that she wants the child to be comfortable, that she wants the child to actually use this, because if she wouldn't buy his favorite color, then he's perhaps not going to use it, right? So the situation that you put a persona in determines what their behavioral characteristics are and what their emotional characteristics are, and what is the information around that task or the context in which you're putting the persona, and how does that contribute towards the persona itself. So a persona, when you put all the data into a bucket, you may get a gender stereotype, you may get an age stereotype, you may get any other demographic stereotype, like for instance, people who like Bollywood, or people who like car racing, right? So you may get other demographics like that from a persona. So you get all that information and you put it into a bucket, or into a page where it defines what the hopes, the fears, the needs, the pain points, the motivations, and the barriers of the people are, right? When you make that persona, usually the behavioral differences in the personas is what will make each persona different from each other. So let's say you have a loving mother, and it's a grocery shopping context, for instance, right? For a loving mother, the persona of a loving mother who would choose organic ingredients, as opposed to the persona of a loving mother who would choose ingredients or groceries that are let's say on discount or fit into her budget, right? So these two personas are different. Although both of them are loving mothers, both of these personas are different. The reason why they're different is because a loving mother who chooses organic food is exhibiting a different set of characteristics, and you have to treat her differently. You have to design for her differently. You have to think about her differently. So you have to think about the person who's looking for healthy ingredients versus the person who's looking for a discount. Right? So these are two different variations in that archetype that come out. So basically, personas are people. You're absolutely right. Personas are people. Personas are fictional characters, because obviously, if you look at the real world, anybody who you actually meet in the real world is going to be a combination of different personas, right? So, for example, I'm a loving mother. I'm also a bookworm. I'm also a gardening enthusiast. I'm also an avid trekker. I'm an environmentalist. Yes, let me do that, Manvi. No problem, no problem. So when we look at a certain segment of people, let's say mothers, right? From the mothers, we want to find archetypes. Archetypes are stereotypes. So let's say a loving mother is a stereotype. So is bookworm. So is shopaholic. So is Amitabh fan. So is cricket lover. right? So is stern disciplinarian. Even that is an archetype, right? The moment I say stern disciplinarian, you imagine 1,000 characteristics which come to the loving mother, right? So these words that say a lot about someone. Bookworm says a lot about me. It says that my house is full of books. It says that I have glasses. It says that I spend a lot of time reading. It says that I may be academic in my thinking. It says a lot about you, right? So when you add those archetypes together and you add behavioral characteristics to those, then what are behavioral characteristics? Behavioral characteristics are what I exhibit. So suppose, excuse me. So suppose I have a loving mother. Now, there are many kinds of personas that can be of a loving mother. Strict disciplinarian is one, right? But when we put the loving mother in a grocery shopping context, let's say we're doing research for a grocery shopping application, right? So we put the loving mother into a grocery shopping context. We observe that there are some mothers who pick out organic ingredients only. And there are some mothers who pick out ingredients according to whether they're on discount or not, whether they're good value for money. I wouldn't say cheap. I would say good value for money or not. So is this mother, I mean, you can't take a decision there whether this mother who wants to have enough budget in her hands to be able to address her children's other needs versus this mother who wants the children to consume only healthy things so that they remain healthy, right? So both of them are loving mothers, right? But the way they exhibit that love is different. So the behavior, the outside behavior that they exhibit is different, right? So there you have two different personas of a loving mother, right? One which chooses healthy food and one which chooses food on discount, right? So then when you start building a service or a product or an application or even an interaction and experience for mothers who come to supermarkets to buy groceries, you will want to cater to the health freak mother, and you want to cater to the budget conscious mother also, right? So when you design products, you design them according to the behavioral characteristics that a persona exhibits. Yeah. Super. Thank you, Mani. Wonderful. It's great to know that you understand that. So personas, when you look at them, they give you a sense. They give you, you intrinsically know what is it that they want. And you also look at buckets and buckets full of data about them. You also make certain assumptions. Those assumptions are empathy activated assumptions. So empathy map basically puts down what you find out from research, what is observed. So empathy map says, now let's think about when a loving mother is going grocery shopping. Let's think about what she's seeing, what she's saying, what she's doing, what she's thinking, and what she's feeling. So the stuff on this side is all observed. You've seen it happen. You've seen it in research that she's saying, oh, I never buy organic stuff. It's too expensive. It's not value for money. That's what she's saying, right? And what is she doing at that point in time? You also observe what she's doing, right? She's picking out the ingredients which are on discount, right? So suddenly you have what she's saying and what she's doing. You can definitely think about what is it that she's thinking in her subconscious mind, right? What is it that she's imagining in her subconscious mind? In her, conscious mind, from the front of her brain. The frontal lobe of your brain is where you have conversations with yourself, where you have dialogues with yourself and you say, this is too expensive. Or why should I pay all this extra money for this organic katappa? Or this stuff may be on discount, but I'm not really sure whether it's really healthy or not. So let me pick out the organic stuff, right? So when the whole thought process of that persona comes to mind, when you look at what they're saying and what they're doing. So you can subtly put down, you can make an informed, empathy activated assumption about what is she thinking. And therefore, if she's thinking all that, then what is she feeling? At this point, she may also feel confused, right? Whether she should go for the discount or whether she should go for the organic food. Or she may be feeling that these guys don't put enough instructions on the label. If this is organic, this doesn't contain preservatives, and how long will it last on my shelf? And what do I need to do to preserve it? That's information that I know that I need, right? So she may have information gaps. So when we understand a persona in great detail by doing empathy mapping of that persona, we come to know what their intrinsic barriers, their intrinsic goals, their needs, their pain points, their motivations are. And when we put down those motivations on the table and we bring together those 4 dots that you see in the center. Now, let me explain to you what those 4 dots are. Yeah. So I'm going to go back now to the dots. Yeah. So the yellow dot represents sponsor users. Sponsor users are typical users, like I said, archetypes, right? Or maybe a combination of archetypes that you can actually bring to the table. And bringing to the table means they're sitting with you, they're ideating with you, they're validating your ideas, real time. The moment they come up, the ideas come up, they're validating your ideas, and they can also tell you when you're wrong. Because as designers, when we design, right, it's not necessary that we may have great insight into a specific industry, especially in the B2B side, right? Sitting where we are, being designers, do we really know what's going on in the mining industry, for instance? Do we really know what's going on in a coal mine? Do we really know what's going on in the minds of a pregnant mother, a rural pregnant mother, when she's eating her vitamins, for instance? We don't. There's very little chance of you being able to map your persona 100%, right? So what you do is that you map as much as you can through research, and then you bring the persona to the table. You bring them to the table so that you can talk to them, so that you can validate them, ask them, so do you think a pill box would work for you? A pill box that reminds you every morning that you have to take your medication. Or then the persona can immediately say, a box I'll just put into the sandook and I'll forget about it, right? The persona can immediately say that and validate for you whether you're thinking in the right direction or not. And especially when it comes to B2B industries, especially when it comes to very, very core business, let's say metals recycling, for instance, in the metals industry. When it comes to really core designing for very core, very complex business processes, it's always a good idea to have a sponsor user on the table. A sponsor user who will be able to validate you and prevent you from going wrong. So that's what 1 dot represents. Yeah, 1 yellow dot represents that. The 3 other dots that you see in the middle of the loop, the 3 other dots in the middle of the loop represent the multiple perspectives that you get on the table. In order to solve anything, you don't just need designers. You need experts in the industry. You need architects, you need technical architects, you need developers, you need business stakeholders, you need regulatory and compliance stakeholders. So let's say in the mining industry, we were to come up with a product idea. The mining industry is rife with regulatory and compliance. So if we come up with a product idea without giving regulatory and compliance their due, we may not even be making the right thing. We may not even be able to roll it out and take it to market, right? So therefore, even regulatory and compliance is very important to have on the table. So what we do as a part of enterprise design thinking is that after we observe, after we know who the personas are, after we've reflected deeply on who the personas are, we bring a multidisciplinary team to the table and sponsor user to the table also, right? And we engage in an infinite loop with them. That infinite loop says we bring our observations to the table, we reflect together. We reflect together and we make. And the reason why this is an infinite loop is because making a mistake is a good thing. Making a mistake is not a bad thing at all, right? And in fact, the culture of experimentation and the growth mindset all depend very, very greatly on you making mistakes. But what is a good idea with mistakes? It's always much better to make sure that you make your mistakes as early in the game as possible. So what is as early in the game? As early as the game, in the game is when the idea comes to mind, right? As early in the game is when you can put that idea on a piece of paper and show it to a user. So that loop, that make part of it can also be very small making. It can be an MVP making. An MVP is a minimum viable product, right? So it can be an MVP making, right? So you make that small thing and you come back to observation. You come back to observation and you want to see how the people are accepting that small thing you made. And then according to that, you evolve it, you grow it, you evolve it, you grow it. That's how the loop functions. Yeah. I can see that I have a doubt over here. Can a salesman knowing well about the empathy of users can create a concise blueprint of their barriers? Of course, of course. Sales pitches are put through that. Sales pitches are put through those barriers, right? They're made to break those barriers down. So definitely, absolutely, and no, absolutely no doubt about it. I think sales pitching is one of the earliest forms of I wouldn't say design thinking because they don't really follow the design principles and they don't really create anything from that. But I would say user centricity. It's the most ancient example of user centricity. Because what do sales guys do? They find out what your intrinsic goals, motivations, barriers are, and they play upon those goals, motivations, and barriers to create spiels. Spiel is a colloquial word, but it basically means a sales pitch, right? So yes, salespeople do have a blueprint of your mind. Absolutely, that's correct. So then we reflect and we come to a point of view, and then we make. We give form to ideas in very minimal ways possible, in ways that are so low fidelity that it takes hardly any effort to create them. So let's say if you take out a piece of paper and you draw on that piece of paper, then that is what you're making, right? And when you show that piece of paper to a user in the lowest fidelity form, that is what you're testing, you're observing on, right? So, and as you go along the loop, the fidelity will increase, right? Your product detailing will increase. You may have branding, you have colors on it, you may have images on it, you may have icons on it, you may have branding messages on it, you may have deep content on it. But as it grows more and more mature, it is grown iteratively. And what is really the advantage of growing iteratively, right? If you look at the loop, the advantage of growing iteratively is that you're making mistakes as early as possible and you're solving those mistakes as early as possible. So let me give you a little bit of a rationale behind that. When you create something on a piece of paper or even XT, even XT you create low fidelity prototypes on, or Sketch or Keynote, or I've even sketched on Word files, right? So when you make that low fidelity prototype, when you create something, you can easily take it to the market and you can test it, right? And as you go version by version by version, you will keep building that and you will keep solving the mistakes that you may make, right? And a mistake doesn't necessarily have to be something that is blamable, right? Because if you don't know something, then you don't know it, and there's absolutely no expectation from anyone for you to know what's going on in the depth of a coal mine, right? So therefore, there may be perspectives which you don't have, and believe you me, whenever I've held visibility tests, whenever I've tested designs with users, I have sat back amazed and says, why didn't I think of that? You know, because those things, sometimes you just don't think of those things, right? Which are really, really important to users, which come out when you test your prototypes. So that's basically what design thinking is all about. There are a couple of more things which design thinking really stands on, right? And sponsor users is one. The other two things which make design thinking really appropriate to be used in an enterprise setting is because design thinking, enterprise design thinking especially, has been created so that it blends and gels when within the agile structure. How many of you know agile? How many of you know what agile is all about? Anybody else? Anybody who can tell me what agile is all about? Okay, let me explain to you. Absolutely, yes. Agile is flexible, volatile, absolutely. So agile is also a development methodology. Okay? Agile is a development methodology in which teams function as self-directed individuals. They come together, they diverge, do things together, and they converge. They come together to combine everything and make a beautiful product. So basically, that's a very simplistic explanation of what agile is. Agile is a methodology. It's a development methodology that allows people to work in multiple streams together so that multiple things can get made at the same time and they can be brought together into a product. The reason why agile is now being used rather than the waterfall methodology or any other methodology that was being used earlier is because waterfall depends on when you finish the first step. If you finish the first step, you can go to the second step, then you can go to the third step, then you can go to the fourth step, and so on and so forth, right? But with agile, you're working on step 5 at the same time, you're working on step 4 at the same time, step 3 at the same time, step 1 and step 2 at the same time. When you're doing that, what you schedule those steps according to what they're dependent on. But the pre-work for those steps keeps happening all the time so that you are more prepared for the step when it does happen and you're able to close it within 2 weeks, right? So anything that may even take 6 months to do can be closed within 2 weeks because a lot of the back-end work of it gets done in another stream or another squad or another sprint, right? So I think agile is worth reading about when you join the real world. And when you join organizations today, even startups, even of course, large organizations are practicing very core, very niche ways of agile, like SAFe and different kinds of core niche agile methodologies. And agile is basically the framework that most developing teams follow. So the other two principles, the other two pillars that enterprise design thinking stands on are agile pillars. One is called playback. Playback is basically when you come together with the team and you talk about whatever it may be. You may talk about, oh, this is what I found out from the market. Suppose your job is to do secondary research from the market. When you come to a playback, you will talk about what you found from the market and what has jumped out to you, what you think is important, your insights from that. You will play back to the rest of the team. Playback makes sure that knowledge sharing is person to person and knowledge gets carried in stories, right? Human beings are much more aligned towards understanding stories which come out of another human being's mouth rather than data which is presented to them in a document. So one of the principles that we follow in Agile is minimal documentation and maximal storytelling. right? So each person who has a job to do on the whole table comes to the table, talks about the job that they've done. And the job could be generating an idea. The job could be doing secondary research or creating something, or the job could be anything, right? They come to the table and they play back their idea. Sorry. There are certain rules of playback. The rules of playback say that when one playback master is talking, when one person is talking, no matter who that person is, the person could be the security guard in your building. And if the CEO is waiting to talk, he has to wait to talk. The security guard will finish the story, and that's when the CEO can talk, if the security guard is speaking first, right? So playbacks also, because the rules are very stringent, that when a playback master is speaking, nobody else speaks, nobody else disturbs them in the flow of their story. And afterwards is when we talk about where people come together. Manveer, I'm trying to understand. I'll take this question afterwards. Yeah. So in playbacks, when your team comes back and does playback, it enables them to work in diverge mode, which means the whole team can work together in. Sorry about that. So which means the whole team can work together in diverge mode. In diverge mode means that they're working alone, or they may be working with one more person, two more people. And when they come back to the team and they play back what they've done, if they've created a screen, for instance, they'll show that screen and show that, okay, I've created this, I've created this, I've created this, right? So when people do playback, those stories get shared. The understanding becomes a common understanding, and the goals become common goals, right? And that's how magical, that's how important playbacks are. Playbacks are also superbly important from an inclusivity perspective, because you do need to be inclusive when you're in an organization. Sometimes what the CEO has to say may really not be as important as what the security guard has to say. So you have to align your playbacks, you have to sequence your playbacks so that everybody's voice is included, which means normally how we align our playbacks is that we go hierarchy up, lowest hierarchy first, and then the highest hierarchy is who speaks at the end, right? But there may be other ways in which you can structure your playbacks. You can structure your playbacks as to the people's own personalities. So sometimes there are loud people, sometimes they're very expressive people who you need to take at the end, right? And the people who are not expressing themselves, you also have to include them into the conversation. You have to include their perspectives into the conversation, because the unlocking of stakeholder insights, the unlocking of insights which stay in human minds, right, which are tempered with empathy, is one of the biggest powers of design thinking. So when you have a team and suddenly you look at the team and you say, oh my God, that person has 11 years of experience, that person has 7 years of experience, that person has 2 years of experience. How can the 2 years of experience guy gain from what the 11 years of experience guy is carrying in his mind? The knowledge, how can that be shared? So the knowledge is shared through inclusive playback. So that means everybody's voice is important. Everybody's voice is to be brought to the table and heard. So therefore, the way you structure your playbacks in a design thinking workshop or in a design thinking scenario really affects the outcomes. The richness of the outcome, the wealth of the outcome comes from including everybody on the table. And that's where playbacks are superbly important. Third thing, and I assure you was the last thing. After this, I'll open it up for questions. So the third thing that is really a pillar of or the key you could say to unlocking value in design. It's called hills. And what is a hill really? Hill actually, when it manifests itself, is a statement of intent. A statement of intent that says, my user, by the end of this 2 months that we're working, my user should be able to do X. And this is the value, or this is the delight that I'm going to give the user. Right? So let's say you are coming together to build a loan platform. You would with the hill that you will align your team with is that by the end of this 2-month sprint, when we deliver, let's say, the registration of our loan platform, multiple kinds of users will be able to register and validate their identity on the platform within 5 minutes flat. So you're getting an outcome. It's an outcome. It's like you're in the army, right? Like you're in the army and the commander is standing there, and then the commander says, you know, that flag that's up there on the horizon, you see that flag that you can see on top of that hill? I want that flag. And that's it. The whole team is then centered around getting that flag. Or the commander can say that I want the Indian flag to be flying from this place. You guys have seen Shesha, right? So at the end of Shesha, what did they do? They flew the Indian flag on the Pakistani coast, right? And that was the moment that their project came to. That wasn't what they had meant to do. That wasn't what their eventual outcome is, right? But that is the milestone that they wanted to reach. That's the milestone that the CEO or the COO or the commander gave them. The commander's intent was that you fly the Indian flag on the Pakistani coast, and that's what the team did eventually. But did the team just climb up and go up and fly the flag from there? They didn't, right? They had to do a lot of stuff in the middle. They had to fight the other army. They had to lose people. They had to strategize. They had to use up their resources. They had to do a lot of things to be able to get to that flag. But the hill statement is that flag, which the commander can give the team and say, okay, by the end of this 2 months, this is what should happen. And now the team get into action. So Agile and design thinking is a self-driven methodology and self-driven problem-solving framework, right? So everybody has a role to play, and they play it. And they play it with the intent, the eventual intent in mind. So that's basically what the principles of IBM design thinking are. The principles, the loop, as well as the keys. Once you understand and you can intrinsify these principles, the loop, the keys into your thinking process, you are basically an IBM design an enterprise design thinker. Also, I would encourage you to go to the IBM Design Thinking University and get a badge for yourself, and that'll that you are indeed a practitioner. I'm going to stop now and open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Students, please post your questions in the chat box if you have any.
Let me answer Manveer's question first, right? So Manveer is saying that, okay, we can take example of the automobile industry manufacturing car parts, and until all parts are made and converged together, their production doesn't affect or depend on the previous one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, that is Agile. That let's say the production of the door doesn't depend on the production of the brake shoe, for instance, and every team comes together at the end so that every part functions fully and beautifully, and that's really what Agile is. But I would really encourage you guys to go to various learning platforms and get used to the principles of Agile, because Agile is truly the new way of working that a large part of the industry and market are currently working on. So it'll be good, and Agile is a very, very useful methodology to know.
Ma'am, are there any other questions in your chat box?
I can't see any other one.
Okay, because I have one question, ma'am.
Please.
Actually related to the role of EQ, because I was going through an article which was saying that the set of skills which were relevant in 2015 or let's say 5-6 years back, they are no more relevant now. So one of the skills which was mentioned in the older list was effective listening, but now that has been replaced by emotional quotient. So I think emotional quotient has a very important role to play in design thinking. So could you just shed some light on that?
Absolutely. Both effective listening and emotional quotient have a very good role to play in design thinking. When you're observing yourself in the user's world, effective listening is really important, right? And what do? You up your emotional quotient when you understand what exactly is it that drives this user. So what are their drivers? What are their motivations? What are their pain points that they want to solve by doing X behavior, right? So there your emotional quotient goes up, and your emotional quotient also goes up when your empathy is activated, right? So we use empathy maps to activate empathy, which means, like I said, there is an observed part of it. We use the observations to understand and infer what is going on deeply in their mind, right? So that's where your emotional quotient goes up, because then you try and imagine what the other person is thinking, and you put yourself in those shoes, right? And for your emotional quotient to go up, your empathy activation is a must, absolute must. So that's when it really helps you. It helps you activate that empathy.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Students, are there any more questions or I can move on? Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am, for conducting this interesting and such a relevant workshop for our students. I think we all have got some great insights into the processes which helps innovators to break the silos. And like you very rightly said, embrace empathy and co-creation. So I think you've beautifully brought out the behavioral aspect of, I would say, the design thinking process. Although we knew that behavioral concepts like perception, emotions, EQ, attitude, persona, like you said, they do have a role to play in design thinking. But I think the biggest takeaway from your workshop is that their role is profound, actually. It's phenomenal. It's not just important, it's a phenomenal role there. So, and sometimes, yes, you also have to resort to some counterintuitive strategies so that you can bring about breakthrough innovations. So that is also important. So anyways, thank you. Thank you so much. And with these words, I'd like to thank all of you for listening us patiently and joining us for this session.